for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't here for my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I won't always smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get mad. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat.
This is the sound of Eric Malcolm.
It's a cut on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine, you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans, and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine, you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Right. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. Okay, I see everybody saying pause. Can you hear? Sorry, beloveds. I was doing something. I was having technical difficulties, so I was trying to adjust something really quick. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Hello, it's Bree to you. Christopher is here. DJ Big Six, Pearly, Khalid, Harleem is in the house. All right, pretty wings. Let's get into it. Shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. And a big shout out to my moderators, because y'all know they be putting in work. Okay, so let's get into it. But before we do, let's have a brief word from our sponsor at 12 Tribes. All right, I see you, Christopher. We the people. Volvo to Love is here. March Baby is in the house. Where have you been? All right, so let's get into it.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. She also has a beard oil, and you can also find her products at Walmart.com. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, you all let me know if you have any problems hearing, because I'm still having some issues with my audio after that Windows update. Still have not figured out how to get it fixed. Sometimes I notice that I don't know. It makes like the audio makes like a weird sound every now and then when I say certain words. Okay, so anyway, let's get into it because you all, this woman killed a black man supposedly because he honked at her in traffic. Okay, we're going to get into it. Everybody hit that like button. Also, please don't forget to double check and make sure you're still subscribed to the channel, especially if you have not been receiving your notifications. Okay, so I'm on a little bit earlier today. I have something to do this morning, so that's why I'm on here early. So now let's get into this first story about this woman who shot this man, followed him and shot him over road rage because she was upset that he honked at her. Yes, Terry, absolutely. Satan is real busy, beloved. Okay. Christopher said, that's why I have a dash cam. I know, that's right. We all need to have one. You all really should. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share my screen.
Victim was stopped behind the suspect, according to
woman now charged with murder for a deadly shooting on the west side. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bob Donaldson.
And I'm Chelsea Helms. Prosecutors say it was road rage that led to a man bleeding out behind the wheel. CBS 4's Jesse Wells has more on the deadly traffic dispute.
According to court records, the victim was stopped behind the suspect at a red light here on 38th Street. After the light turned green and the suspect didn't move, the victim honked his horn. Prosecutors believe that honk enraged the suspect, who fired one shot into the victim's car.
A single bullet hole shattered the back window of this car and claimed the life of 21-year-old Sh0ts.
He's loved by so many people, and there's so many people that's going to miss him, and such a precious life was taken for no reason.
Police were called around 2 p.m. Friday to a neighborhood near 38th and Georgetown and found the victim bleeding in the driver's seat. The young man died shortly after being rushed to the hospital.
He didn't do anything wrong, and for it to still happen, I mean, it troubles you.
It's beyond senseless. The victim in this case honks his horn and he ends up losing his life.
This affidavit claims 23-year-old Deborah Benefiel got mad that the victim honked his horn, so she followed him and fired a shot into his car.
The allegation is she couldn't keep her cool at a traffic light.
This is just sad and disappointing that we're seeing this in our society and our culture, where people think it's okay to pick up a firearm and take an action like this and taking one's life.
IMPD officers quickly used license plate readers to track down the suspect's SUV, leading to her arrest for murder and criminal recklessness just a few hours after the shooting.
I'm a huge believer in the license plate readers. It has been a game changer.
Both police and prosecutors hope the case sends a simple message to drivers everywhere.
We have to be patient. We have to be calm.
So it's just a good reminder to everybody to not only keep your cool on the road, and if someone honks their horn, it's not the end of the world, and it should not ever result in gun violence, but those are the allegations here.
After being arrested, the suspect refused to talk to police. She was identified as the shooter by the victim's girlfriend, who was in the car when the shooting took place.
Finally, before the shooting, the suspect did not have any criminal history. She's now being held without bond pending trial. Jesse Wells, CBS 4 News.
Now, that's just a darn shame and so absolutely unnecessary. Okay? So unnecessary. At the end of the day, she should also have been charged with a hate crime, because I think she did it because that man was black. That's just my opinion. But anyway, with that all being said, they report that investigators in Indiana say a woman fatally shot a 21-year-old driver who honked at her while she stopped at a green light. A murder charge was filed against Deborah Benefiel, according to the Marion County Prosecutor's Office, for allegedly shooting and killing Sh0ts during an October 17th road rage dispute. According to prosecutors, Sh0ts honked his horn at Benefiel while she was stopped at a green traffic light at the intersection of West 38th Street and Georgetown Road. She yelled at him and eventually shot into his vehicle on Donald Avenue, Indianapolis, according to Indianapolis law enforcement officials. So Sh0ts was hit in the chest and taken to an area hospital where he was pronounced dead a short time later. Police said detectives tracked Benefield down within only a few hours of the road rage shooting with help from technology that analyzes license plates across the city. A moment of anger should not cost someone their life. That's what the prosecutor said. So the 23-year-old woman is in court on Tuesday for murder and criminal recklessness charges. Marion County Court records show the judge ordered Benefield to be held without bond. Okay, saying we will continue to work together to hold those who commit senseless acts on our roadways accountable in the courtroom. But as a community, we must find ways to respond to conflicts with reasonableness, not violence. Right, she has another court hearing scheduled for November the 4th. She's going to be sitting her behind in jail until then. I need no bail for her. Okay, and here she is right here, 23 years old. You ruined your life. You ruined this young man's life. He was only 21, had his whole life ahead of him, all because you want to be ignorant, because you can't just be patient and wait.
Independence Day, a time for laughter, flags, and families coming together. But sometimes...
There she is in court for the first time. I wonder if she had a license to carry. And you know what's amazing to me is, how did she think she was going to get away with it? How did she think she was going to get away with that? He had his girlfriend in the car with him, for one. That's a witness. And then she didn't think there were cameras anywhere. Like, how stupid are these people? I'm just glad she got caught. I am so glad she got caught. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about Sonya Massey, because you all know that Sean Grayson, the former officer who took her life, he's on trial. I think this is about the 4th day of his trial, as a matter of fact. So we're going to get into it, go to a couple of clips just to see what's going on. And from what I see so far, it's not looking good for him. Okay, and I'm glad to hear it. Body camera video of Sonya Massey's fatal encounter with deputies featured an emotional day in murder trial. Massey was killed in her home in Springfield, Illinois last year after she called authorities over concerns about a prowler. You all remember this. I mean, it's really, time goes by so fast. I mean, it's almost hard to believe it's been over a year already. Okay, so let's get into this report.
Explosive new testimony from inside an Illinois court. For the first time, we're hearing from the partner of an ex-deputy who's accused of killing a black woman in her own home. The partner says he was actually scared of his coworker and not the woman, Sonya Massey. Sean Grayson's partner, you see him here in this court sketch, is telling the jury tonight that Massey never seemed to be a threat that night last July. Massey had called police, remember, late one night. She was worried about a prowler. This is body cam video of Grayson and his partner responding to that call. Things started getting tense when Grayson asked Massey to put down a pot of hot water that she had grabbed from the stove. So this is her. You see her walking over to it in this part of the body cam video. We'll show you a video the next moment when Grayson fires his gun at Massey 3 times. We've got to warn you, it is obviously hard to watch.
You better I swear to God, I'll shoot you right in your face. Okay, I'm sorry. Drop the pot! Drop the pot!
Proves that Massey was not actually a real threat to Grayson. But Grayson's attorney argues that his client's actions were reasonable under the circumstances. Grayson has pleaded not guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder. Maggie Vespa is outside court. As court, Maggie, has just wrapped up in the last hour or so. And that very notable testimony today from Grayson's partner. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, Hallie, that was explosive. He took the stand late in the day. His name is Deputy Dawson Farley, and he basically was immediately questioned by prosecutors. He was a witness for the prosecution about Sonya Massey and his feelings about what she did when she had that pot of water. They were asking him things like, were you nervous based on what she was doing? He said no. They said, were you worried she was going to hurt you? He said no. Then he went on to clarify that he was indeed scared that night, but not of Massey. Instead, he said he was scared of his partner, Sean Grayson. There were protesters out here earlier today. We relayed that tidbit of information to them from our producer inside the courtroom. This was the organizers' reaction.
If your own partner was afraid of you that night, that means that you were unhinged. That means that you had no business being on the police force. Your job was to protect and serve, and if your own partner was afraid of you, Sonya didn't have a chance. With Sean Grayson being in her house that night, it was the devil at her doorstep.
It literally was the devil. Okay, it literally was the devil at her doorstep. First of all, his partner saying that he wasn't afraid of Sonya, but more afraid of his partner. That's because that man had demonic energy. It was very apparent. And for him to get so triggered because she simply was praying, that further, excuse me, that further makes me think that he had demons. Okay? Because who gets upset about prayers besides demons? Now, he wants to say that she was at the stove messing with that boiling water, and he feared that she might throw the water on him. Well, that's just not going to fly because, for one, when she walked over towards the stove to turn the pot of water off, didn't one of them, in fact, ask her to turn that water off? I could have sworn, but even if not, when she walked over to the stove, she was not even close to him. And had she picked up the pot and thrown it from where she was standing, it likely wouldn't have even reached him, and she likely would have burned herself from the blowback. But the next thing is, even if she picked up the pot of boiling water and started coming in his direction and then he shot, that would make sense. Because why is she coming at you with the whole pot of boiling water? But she didn't come at him with a pot of boiling water. She didn't come anywhere near him. Okay, and she was cowering by the stove when he shot her. So there's no excuse. Okay, there is no excuse at all. So anyway, let's continue.
The devil at her doorstep. Hallie, after that testimony, for the first time during this trial, prosecutors in there played the body camera video that we've all seen that's been seemingly around the world tied to this case. And our producer said it was really heavy in that courtroom. One juror appearing to cry, another one covering their eyes with their notepad. Grayson, during most of it, looking down at his lap and appearing, our producer said, to cover his ears at the moment of the shooting. This is members of the Massey family were led out of the courtroom sobbing. Now, again, as you said, Grayson's team saying that he was reasonable to fear for his life in that moment. They've been urging jurors throughout this process to not form opinions too early and to think about what it must have felt like in the heat of the moment. And again, they argue that he genuinely feared for his life. But as you can see, Hallie, prosecutors doing everything they can to tear that rationale apart.
Maggie Vespa, live for us there in Illinois. Incredibly dramatic day there in court. I know you'll be following the rest of it as it continues. Maggie Vespa, thank you.
That's all cap. Okay, that is all cap. I do not think for a second that that man feared anything. Okay, did he look scared to you all? He didn't look scared to me. Emotions ran high in an Illinois courtroom Wednesday as a jury watched a body camera video showing the moments a former sheriff's deputy shot Sonya Massey in her kitchen. Sean Grayson, age 31, sat in the courtroom hunched in his chair and appeared to plug his ears during the part of the video that included audio of shots being fired at Massey. What's he plugging his ears now for, sir? Because you darn sure didn't have a problem listening to the bullets fly when you fired your weapon. Massey, age 36, a black mother of two, had called authorities to her Springfield home for help with a possible prowler in July of 2024. Now, Grayson, a former Sangamon County Sheriff's deputy who is white, wrote in a report after the incident that he feared bodily harm because Massey was holding a pot of boiling water and said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." Yeah, that did scare him because he was a whole demon. Okay, that's what he said. He said he feared bodily harm because Massey was holding a pot of boiling water and said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." So the fact that she said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," made him think that she was going to kill him or hurt him with the water. Prosecutors say the body cam video shows Massey wasn't a real threat to Grayson. Now, Wednesday was the first day of testimony in Grayson's murder trial, and he could face 45 years to life in prison if he's convicted. He has pleaded not guilty and was held in jail pending trial, where he should have been. Now, while video, remember when his family got mad at us, you all? Do you all remember that? How they came out talking slick, all upset, mad, issued a statement because they said people are on the internet going in on him. And what do y'all want him to do? He's already apologized. He's in jail. They're not going to give him a bond. Why are y'all so mad? Because she's still dead. Because she's still dead. Sonya Massey is still dead, and she shouldn't be. That's why we're still mad. Do you all remember that his grandmother or somebody, like, oh, his fiance is upset, his whole family, talking about what they're going through? What about what the Massey family was going through? What about her 2 children? What about that? Okay, so much to say they had. Okay, so anyway, so goes on to say, while video played of a graphic scene featuring a deputy trying to render aid to Massey after the shooting, one juror covered her eyes with a notepad. Other jurors teared up. The sole Black juror rested his forehead on his hand and did not look at the scene while Massey's body was visible. Some members of Massey's family, including her mother, were escorted out of the courtroom in tears, but her father, James Wilborn, sat in the back of the entire video, or for the entire video, and stared straight ahead. Earlier in the day, John Millhiser, the state attorney for Sangamon County, said in his opening statement that Grayson went into Massey's home, where she was not a suspect, and shot and killed her without lawful justification. Now, I want you all to think about that. You call the police because you need assistance, you need help, and they come and show up and kill you. This is nothing new, because we all should know by now that this happens to people who look like me very often. Okay, or they get brutalized, beaten, taken to jail when they were calling to report something, not because they were a whole criminal. So Millhiser noted that Grayson did not immediately turn on his body camera, which he said followed a pattern of his not following policies or training. Now, why do you all think that he had a habit of not turning on his body cam? Likely because he had a habit of doing nefarious things of which he had no business. He said Grayson shot Massey because he was angry. That sounds about right. Now, in the lead up to the shooting, Millhiser said Massey was nice and kind when she was talking to Grayson and his partner. He described the shooting as what happens when the defendant gets mad at the woman who is standing in her own kitchen. Okay, the nerve. Grayson's attorney, Daniel L. Foltz, said in his opening statement that evidence will show that Grayson lawfully discharged his weapon and acted to protect his life. He believed he would suffer great bodily harm or death. Get the F out of here. He said Grayson gave firm, unequivocal, and repeated warnings to Massey, okay, to put down the pot of water before he fired his weapon. What happened to Miss Massey was a tragedy, but it was not a crime. What? So why is he on trial? Okay, his lawyer sounds ridiculous. Deputy Dawson Farley, who was with Grayson the night of the shooting, was questioned about his recollection before jurors saw his body camera video. He said he drew his weapon inside Massey's home because he was trying to back my partner. And he added that he did not see or hear anything that made him feel a weapon was even warranted. Farley said after the shooting, he tried to retrieve a medical kit, but that Grayson told him not to bother. Yeah, you all remember that. That's what he initially said. Told him not to bother. Said she's gone. He testified that he was caught off guard by his partner's remark because it did not follow protocol. Farley said he was not scared of any of Massey's actions. Were you nervous about her doing anything? Millhiser asked. No, Farley says. Were you worried about her hurting you? He asked. No, Farley replied again. She never said anything that alarmed me. So during cross-examination, Foltz noted that Farley initially wrote in his report that he was in fear of great bodily harm from the steaming water. Farley testified he went back to the Illinois State Police to revise his report almost a month after the incident to clarify a few points. He said the fear he felt when he drew his weapon came from Grayson's actions, not from Massey and the hot water. Fultz noted that the revision came after Grayson was indicted, adding, clarifying is different than changing your story. Now, that is true. That is true. Now, jurors also heard Massey's initial 911 call for help, on Wednesday, as well as testimony from Sangamon County Chief Deputy at the time of the shooting. Now, Sergeant Anthony Mayfield, who is now retired, said Grayson's actions that night went against Sangamon County policies about use of force, body-worn cameras, conduct, and rendering aid. Because he didn't even try to render aid to her. And then he tried to get his partner not to do any type of, he tried to get his partner not to render aid either. Okay, just a whole devil. Now, in addition to the murder charge, Grayson was also originally charged with aggravated battery and official misconduct. The prosecution dropped those charges before opening statements with no objection from the defense. Massey's killing triggered a national response, igniting protests across the country. Protesters gathered outside the courthouse Monday to call for justice for Massey, who had mental health issues, according to her family. Now, her death raised new questions about U.S. law enforcement shootings of Black people in their homes, and it prompted a change in Illinois law requiring fuller transparency about the backgrounds of candidates for law enforcement jobs. The trial is expected to last a week and a half, so that's going to be quick. That's not long at all, a week and a half. Well, if that's the case, it's almost half over with. Now, let's go to this next report from CBS. Hey, Hot Cocoa beloved. Perplex is here, Vix Text, Mail. All right, Leon's in the building. I know I'm on early, you guys. I have something to do. Shout out to LeVar also. I have something to do this morning. That's why I got on here early. All right, so let's go to this next report.
There were emotional opening statements in court yesterday, and now testimony in the trial of the ex-sheriff's deputy accused of killing Sonya Massey is underway. Sean Grayson is on trial for shooting Massey in her home after she called 911 about a suspected prowler. Grayson denies any wrongdoing, but prosecutors say the evidence in this case is overwhelming. Anna Sh0ts has been following this case and joins us now in studio. As you know, she's the senior coordinating producer for CBS News' Crime and Public Safety Unit. Anna, good morning. Great to have you here. Walk us through what happened in court. I understand it was a very emotional day one.
It was, Errol. And in fact, prosecutors played that body camera footage in full. Sonya Massey's mother had to be helped out of the courtroom. Sean Grayson himself looked down at his hands, did not watch the video, and some of the jurors had to cover their faces.
Now, the video tells one part of the story, but Grayson's former partner, who was there, that he witnessed the shooting, he also testified. What did that illuminate?
Well, he took the stand yesterday, and he said that Sonya Massey did nothing or said nothing that made him perceive her as a threat. So this is very damning testimony for Sean Grayson, because the other man who was right there in the room did not feel that Sonya Massey was a threat.
And Grayson had said because Massey was boiling a pot of hot water for some reason, he thought that was threatening.
From the moment after the shooting, he always said that he was scared that she would throw that boiling water on him. Now, I've looked at that video. At the time that he pulls the trigger, she is crouching down. But he said he feels that she was a threat, and his lawyers are going to be leaning into that.
So there's this video, there's testimony the jury will hear. What about Grayson's record? Because he had been in a number of departments in what seems like a short amount of time and had faced, I believe, disciplinary action. But how much can the jury see?
Well, the judge ruled that none of the disciplinary action or the disciplinary records in his file are admissible in court. But what the jury did hear yesterday is prosecutors talked to people who had worked with him about how he had cycled through 6 different law enforcement agencies in just 4 years. So they did hear that, but they can't hear about past allegations of misconduct.
So they kind of have to, it would seem, come to their own conclusions about why any officer would be in 6 departments in
That's
4
right.
years. What's next in this trial? What should we expect to happen today?
Well, we're going to hear more testimony from the prosecution's witnesses. So more people who worked with him, who were there, who brought her to the hospital, the detectives who worked on the subsequent investigation of her death. And then we're going to hear the witnesses that the defense calls. So I'm really interested to hear what position they bring forward. That is all coming. This trial is expected to last 2 weeks.
All right, really
All right, so I'm looking forward to see how this is going to turn out. He needs to go down for the count. Okay, he needs to get exactly what he has coming to him. They said 45 years to life. Yeah, he needs to get every bit of it. Okay, Mel said, I mean, you preach and teach us a lot. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Now, where do y'all hear this next story? Wait till y'all hear this next story. First of all, before we get into it, let me ask you all something. Has anyone in here seen the documentary, The Truth About Jussie Smollett? Have you seen that documentary on Netflix? Ones if yes, twos if no. If you all have seen that documentary, because this story right here, yeah, we're going to have to talk about Jussie. Nobody's seen it as of yet. Nessie X said yes. Okay, so with that all being said, so you all know that Jussie didn't lie, right? Y'all know that Jussie wasn't lying, right? Y'all do know that. For those of you who saw it, most people are putting 2, so you didn't see it. But for the 1 or 2 people that did see it, you all do realize that Jussie Smollett was not lying. Y'all know that now, right? Please tell me y'all know that now after y'all saw the receipts. They lied on Jussie Smollett. They framed that man. They lied on him. And I want you all to pay attention because back when this all happened, I was the only one defending Jussie. I said, I don't think he's lying. I don't think he's making it up. But they ended up flipping me too. I'm going to tell you when I stopped believing Jussie. I stopped believing him the day that the 2 brothers lied, because they're lying. The proof is out there. If you watch that documentary, you'll see it. Okay, they don't just come out flat out and say that the Chicago police framed him, but they show you everything from both sides. Okay, and I love it because they show you both sides. What the police had, the evidence they had, what they were saying, and they show you the other side. There was some stuff that the police never put out there. The media didn't even talk about it. But anyway, here's the thing. When those lying brothers came out and said Jussie paid them $3,500, that's when I said, Jussie, why did you lie? Why did you make this up? Because there's no way I'm thinking these 2 dudes are lying on him. But then I also started thinking, what if one of them has charges or something and they took some kind of deal? But then they came out and said they didn't take a deal. They weren't offered a deal. But guess what? They lied. It's all in the documentary. But anyway, hold on. Why am I telling you all about this? Am I giving you a review of the documentary? No, I'm not. I told you all that because I want you to remember when I tell you this next story, I want you to remember all of the hell that they put Jussie Smollett through. And let's wait and see if they're going to put Brad through the same hell. Because he's a whole liar. And we know he lied. The proof is already there. So let's talk about it. So this little thug right here, okay, his name is Caden Spate. Now, Caden Spate, 17 years old, decided to tell a lie on Hispanics. He lied and left home, took his father's gun, goes off and texts his mother saying that he has been abducted. That's right, abducted. Said that he was abducted by 4 Hispanics. So there was an Amber Alert out for him. They had people looking for him in helicopters because you know how it goes down when you have that skin tone. They had people that volunteered to go and look for him. All to find out that the little devil had lied, made it all up. Now, right now, nobody really knows why he made up this fantastical story, but nonetheless, he did. Now, he claimed that he had been kidnapped by 4 Hispanics, put in a light-colored or a white van, said that they shot him. He was shot, but guess what? He shot himself. He shot himself. I want you all to pay attention because this is all so nefarious. And at the end of the day, they just seem like they're going so easy on him. Because here's the thing. You all probably have never even heard of this story. This literally happened a month ago. I just found out about this on yesterday because somebody was talking to me about it and I didn't know what on earth they were talking about. So they're like, you hadn't heard about this? And I'm like, no. So then I went to digging. And let me just show you what his mom posted. Hold on. I'm about to send this. I forgot to send this so I can show it to you all. I'm sending it now, uploading it. But here's the thing. So he was not arrested, right? And so then everybody's like, why is he not arrested? He told a lie. We know he lied. He used up taxpayer resources, all the money with the helicopters flying around and the Amber Alert and all this other stuff going on, the shenanigans. Nobody's going to lock him up. Nobody's going to put him in jail where he belongs. And the police come out and said, oh, we can't do that. We would arrest him, but we can't because his mother won't let us talk to him. I'm sorry. Say what? Say what now? His mother won't let you do what? That's what they said. Said his mother won't let us talk to him. Purple said, this is the first time I've heard this, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Okay, so you heard it here first? Yes, I heard about this yesterday. So you mean to tell me that the police are saying the reason for not locking his arse up in the first place is because the mother would not allow them to talk to him? Do they ever ask Black people if they can talk to our kids? Sorry, what? Now you let a Black child make up a whole lie like that, and that's a hate crime too. That's a hate crime too because he specifically said Hispanics, so the little devil knew what he was doing. And here's the thing: he said that they abducted him because he was wearing a MAGA hat. Yeah, said he had on his Make America Great Again hat and they got mad. That's what he said. He had on this MAGA hat and so they snatched him up and abducted him. Little lying devil. I want you all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention. This is getting out of hand. Okay, now his mother was trying to defend him and trying to protect him. Please don't ask me why, because I haven't a clue. I just find it all interesting that the police sit up there telling that story that, oh, because the mother won't let us talk to him, we can't go and lock his arse up. Now, here's what the mom posted after he was found. She says, it is so weird. Okay, in the Camden Spate case, his mother made a post on Facebook. She claimed he was in surgery despite the police stating he was found safe and unharmed. She ended up deleting the post. Now, this is him right here. Now, see this picture right here where he's on the bike? Yeah, this is when he's supposed to be missing and kidnapped. And they got this picture from a street camera or a camera in a store or something, but he actually had gone and bought a bike because he ditched his truck that he was in. Okay, he ditched the vehicle he was in because remember, he wants everybody to think that he's been abducted. So he was putting on a whole show. I want y'all to pay attention. His mother took that post down because what she had said on it was they found him. Praise the Lord. Thank y'all so much for all the love. And then she said he was shot and he was in surgery. Now, here's the thing. People were speculating on that Facebook post when I looked at it. People were speculating that, he couldn't have been shot because the police said that he was fine. Well, here's the thing. When he first when he was first found and the police realized that he was never kidnapped and that he made the whole thing up, they were not going to expose him, in my opinion. They were not going to expose him because they never came out initially and said, oh, it was a hoax, he made it up. They just came out and said he was found and he's fine. They didn't say anything about the shooting because had they said something about the shooting, then they would have had to tell people that he did it to himself, that it was a whole lie and a hoax, that nobody ever abducted him. So the police were covering for him too, if you ask me, because why wouldn't they put that information out there? And so when his mother comes out and said, oh, he was shot and he's in surgery, why didn't she tell them that he shot himself? Because she knew at that point. Her saying he was shot and he's in surgery was her keeping up the lie, keeping up the ruse for her nefarious son. Him and his mama need to be in jail, if you ask me. But hold on, because there's an advocacy group that absolutely feels that she should be arrested. And then I'm going to go and show you a part of the press conference when he was missing. So advocacy group calls for charges against mother of Marion County teen who faked abduction. Yeah, she needs to be locked up too. Because why was she so unwilling to let the police speak with him? I have several questions. Okay? Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. American Man says the internet don't play. TikTok honestly solved the case from the cameras to the bike he bought and the tent. This internet don't play. Exactly. Honey, we do better work than the police in some cases. I'm convinced. Okay, thank you for your insight, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's get into it. Okay, I'm trying to see if this video is even worth. Okay, yeah, that's something else. Okay, so now let's get into this because here's what they're reporting. A national advocacy group is calling for charges against the mother of a Marion County teenager whose kidnapping hoax triggered an Amber Alert. Now, deputies say 17-year-old Caden Sh0ts shot himself in the leg to stage his kidnapping. Now, the fool shot himself in the leg and broke his femur bone. Now, you know the femur is the largest bone in the body. Imagine breaking your darn femur. Okay? And he's so stupid, he could have shot himself in the artery and ended up bleeding out. I don't know what is wrong with some of these kids. Who's raising them is what I'd like to know. But let's continue. So anyway, the Uvalde Foundation for Kids now wants his mother charged for refusing to let investigators interview him. Honey, his mother might have said they couldn't interview him, but trust and believe, if they wanted to talk to him, they could have done so a long time ago, honey, weeks ago. They just didn't want to lock him up. That's what that was. They could miss me with it. Now, Sh0ts could also face charges for falsely reporting the incident. Oh, they're talking about the mother? Yeah, they're talking about the mother because she's the one who reported it after he sent her the text messages. I don't see why they would charge her for that specifically, because didn't she think that he was actually abducted? I don't know. At the end of the day, she does need to go to jail for trying to hinder the investigation as far as I'm concerned. Okay. So now let's go to this press conference. This is after they found out he was lying. And then here's the thing. After he shot himself, he ditched his truck or his car. He shot himself in the vehicle, shot through the windshield or something like that, so the blood would be in the vehicle, I guess, and then went out to the woods or something so he could be found. Like, this whole thing was crazy. It was just a whole bunch of crazy stuff. He went through a whole lot. At the end of the day, he definitely has a maniacal mind for someone his age. He needs to be locked up, period. Because he's dangerous.
Hello, Marion County citizens. Sheriff Woods here. I know many of you have been deeply invested into this case of Caden Sh0ts. When you heard the initial alarming information that was being given to us, many of you even joined in to help in any way you could. And I want to commend my deputies and detectives that sprang into action and worked through the night and into the next day on this. In addition, we also had help from around the state and federal agencies. Many people reached out. Now, because of their hard work, the initial details that Caden texted to his family were proven to be false, completely made up. We did find evidence of a single gunshot where Caden left his truck. However, his claims that he had been shot and abducted were quickly disproven. We then learned that he had purchased a bicycle, tent, and camping supplies just prior to him reporting this. Now, I want to make something abundantly clear. Probably many of you are asking, well, why do you diverted so many resources? The truth is, in all cases, we cannot take anything that's done or said lightly. We have to take it as though it was the truth in the beginning.
Now, I'm going to tell you all something. What really annoys me about this, he says he has to take everything as if it's the truth in the beginning. What really ticks me off is, if you all remember, 25-year-old Jelani Day, the young black man who was in medical school, was about to graduate, and he was found dead. And his car was in the woods, and his clothes were by the riverbank. You all remember that story, right? Did they have helicopters looking for him? Yeah, no, they didn't. They were too busy looking for Gabby Petito, whatever her name was, the white woman that went missing after her boyfriend killed her out in the desert or wherever. And then he was hiding out for days, and they thought that he took himself out too. You all remember that? They didn't dedicate those resources to him, and he actually could have used them. This little thug right here was lying the whole time, but taxpayers' dollars were wasted. I want justice.
Because heaven forbid, if something just made one little turn and it turned out to be the truth. So, because of this alarming amount of red flags that initially kept going up, we had to continue the investigation. But here's the thing. We had witnesses that contradicted the initial information. Caden simply rode away towards Williston, while the rest of us were left to think the worst, and my team was working in an overdrive to solve this case. Now, to continue the ruse, Caden, who had a handgun with him since the beginning of all of this, chose to shoot himself in the leg, causing a non-life-threatening injury just prior to walking out to the roadway where he would be located by citizens in Williston. There is zero chance that Caden's gunshot wound came from any type of an assailant. Now, many of you have asked, will Caden be facing any charges? What about the taxpayers' cost of this large-scale investigation and search? Trust me, it is on my mind. I can tell you those items are not off the table at this point. Right now, we are still processing all of the evidence in this case. I don't want to make any statements on that until we have fully examined it all. Naturally, my detectives had a lot of questions for Caden. However, his parents refused to allow my detectives to speak with him so that we could come to a true final conclusion in all this. Again, thank you, citizens, for your tips and information that you sent in. And when we do have any updated information on this case, I promise you, we will provide it to you.
Full of crap. Full of crap, okay? They finally went and locked him up just a couple of days ago, and this happened a month ago. I want you all to pay attention. They literally just locked his arse up. Sitting there talking about his mother or his parents wouldn't let them come and question him. What? Are you serious, sir? Are you serious? The F out of here with that BS. Okay, anyway, I'm going to go to some TikTokers and what they had to say about it. Please pay attention. Talking about the parents wouldn't let them say what? If they had been black parents, honey, they would have locked y'all up and locked up their son too. Okay? They'd have said you're obstructing justice. You either let us talk to him or we're going to arrest him right here. That's what they would have done. They would have at least arrested him and held him for 72 hours, if nothing else, for telling a fake story.
teenager who went missing in Florida after being shot and abducted by 4 Hispanic men? Well, it turns out it was all a lie. An Amber Alert was issued for 17-year-old Caden Spite, who lives in Dunedin, Florida. His mom, Annie Spite, reported that he sent her a text message saying, "Mom, I need help. 4 Hispanics in a white van, 1 driver. I'm shot." Of course, she panicked and called the police. And they found his cell phone snapped in half and his truck abandoned, but he was nowhere in sight. Neighbors reported that the police and search team had helicopters out looking for him all night. Everyone in Dunedin, Florida was distraught, thinking that he was abducted and hurt. But that was a lie. Police reported that they found him safe and sound, and there is no evidence of a shooting or an...
Oops, I didn't mean to do that, beloveds. Hold on. I didn't mean to do that. I was trying to show. Okay, we'll go back to that in a second. Let me pull that back up on the screen. Now, listen, I'm going to read you all the message that the mom posted, the one that she just showed in her video. Then we'll go back to it in a second. Okay, so here's what the message said. This is supposedly what he told the mom. She posted saying, "I got a message that I need help. 4 Hispanics in a white van, 1 driver. I'm shot. Looks like the tracks headed towards Dunedin. Nothing found with helicopters or dogs. I was told that police are looking in ditches and river in case they dropped him off somewhere along the way. Please help find him." That's what the mother had posted. Yeah, had his mother stressed out, clearly. Now, I don't know if he was trying to get back at his parents. I don't know what made him come up with this lie. It seems to me like he was just trying to be a racist little devil, because he specifically said there were 4 Hispanics, okay, putting a racial element to it. And then he said that it was something to do with him wearing a MAGA hat, okay? And I'm willing to bet you that his family, that they voted for Trump. I'm willing to bet that his family, of course they did. He had a MAGA hat. What am I talking about? But that just further reiterates the fact that this is always the right. The right want to blame the left, but it's always the right out here shooting up schools, out here being whole mass shooters, okay, out here doing all kinds of nefariousness, shooting up rallies, okay, i.e. Charlie Kirk. Okay, please pay attention. This is the right. Making all sorts of threats. Who shot at Trump? Attempted to take out Trump? People on the right. Both times. White males on the right. It's not the left. They're full of crap. Okay? Full of crap.
Missing in Florida after being shot and abducted.
Hold on, let me fast forward back.
Thinking that he was abducted and hurt. But that was a lie. Abducted and hurt. But that was a lie. Police reported that they found him safe and sound, and there is no evidence of a shooting or an abduction. Local surveillance revealed that he was seen leaving Walmart with a black bicycle and a gray tent that he had recently purchased, as though he was going to hide out somewhere. Was this some kind of prank? Why would a 17-year-old pull a stunt like this on his mom? Lying and saying 4 Hispanic men kidnapped him like he was trying to make a point. What was that about? I'm glad Caden is safe, but damn, there's better things to do if you want to get mommy's undivided attention. What do you think of this story?
I don't think he was trying to get his mother's attention. I think he just wanted to be in the news. Okay, and I think he's just a little racist devil. That's what I think. But let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. You can tell what kind of parents these little devils have by the way they act. Okay, they didn't come from a good little Christian family. I can guarantee you that.
That a 17-year-old white kid from Florida lied and said that he was shot and kidnapped by 4 Hispanic men. This is Caden Rex Spite. And last week, there was a shooting on Highway 484 in Florida, which he took advantage of. After the shooting, Caden texted his mother and said that he had been shot and kidnapped by 4 Hispanic men in a light-colored van. For a very brief time, there was an Amber Alert for him, even police saying that they were looking for possibly Hispanic men. Well, upon a quick investigation, the police found that he was safe buying an e-bike and that he had been shot, but he actually shot himself. Now, clearly there must be an investigation for this kid lying to the police, making up.
And let me tell you all this. Not only did he lie and say that he was kidnapped or abducted by 4 Hispanics in the area where he supposedly was taken from, there were some Hispanic men working, probably some day laborers. But someone said in their video there were some Hispanic men working in that area, about 4 or 5. So, and the police were stopping Hispanic men, honey. They could have gotten somebody locked up. Okay, and I want you all to pay attention because here's the thing. One thing that I have noticed for years is when white people lie on black people, brown people, they never get any jail time. They never do. Okay, very rare. I can't think of a case where I've seen them literally go to jail. But I have seen other people who are not white who've lied go to jail, as they should. But the white people should go too, is all I'm saying. Now, there was a black lady. She was actually Dominican. She lied. This has been over a decade ago, but I remember because her story was on 60 Minutes or something like that over like 10 or 15 years ago. Anyway, she lied on a white man, said that he raped her, and he was in prison for like 4 years. She gets a guilty conscience, I guess, and she admits to the police that she lied and that the man never did it. So he gets out of prison and she goes to prison because they charged her for lying. And then once she did her 4 years, because they made her do the same amount of time that he was in there for. And once she did her 4 years, even though she had a husband and a child that she had recently before she went to jail, well, they shipped her back to the Dominican Republic. They deported her. Okay, so that's what they did for her lying. But I want you all to pay attention to something too, because the thing that I was bringing up about Jussie Smollett, it reminded me of this. Only Jussie was telling the truth. This dude was clearly lying. Now I want you to pay attention because they made us think that Jussie was lying when he was telling the truth. They also made people think Tawana Brawley was lying. Okay, I read that story. I looked it up. I did all the research. I don't think she was lying. I think that because a white prosecutor was involved and this was a whole hate crime and the nefarious, depraved, sick, heinous things that she alleged were done to her, I think that they got together and said, no, we're going to make this broad look like she's lying. I don't think that she was ever lying. And I think Al Sharpton, who was heavy on the case until they started saying she was lying, I think Al Sharpton knew that she didn't lie. Okay, that's another person they lied on. They always be lying on black people. Then let's not forget about Kendrick Johnson down there in Valdosta, found rolled up in those mats. Okay, they said that his parents were lying and then made his parents, they're supposed to have to pay back the money of the family that they accused of possibly having something to do with him. The 2 white boys who had last seen with him on the camera at the school and whose father is was an FBI, not former, currently was an FBI at the time. Yeah, so they sued Kendrick's parents and they had to end up paying them back. And they did the same thing with Tawana Brawley. They made her pay back that prosecutor hundreds of thousands of dollars for his court fees. But I absolutely believe that he did everything that she said he did. And they said that Tawana's boyfriend said that she told him she was going to make it up or something to do with the boyfriend telling them that it didn't happen or whatever. I think the boyfriend probably had some charges pending. Okay, just like in the case of Jussie Smollett. Because what they didn't tell us about Jussie was that one of those Africans had a felony for he had been involved with an attempted murder. Okay, so he was not even supposed to be carrying a gun. And when they raided their house, they went and searched their house. They had all kinds of guns in there, all kinds of guns, semi-automatic, automatic. They had like these guns that look like machine guns. They just had an arsenal of weapons in there. So I'm pretty sure that's why they lied on Jussie, because they cops probably told them to. And how you know that's what they likely did is because you literally in the documentary hear his lawyer. You hear his lawyer saying to them something about, she was saying something about a deal. She was explaining to them. So they had said they didn't take a deal. They weren't offered a deal, but you obviously were, because why is your lawyer talking about a deal? And how come nobody went to jail for all those guns when you're a whole felon? He could have gotten deported back to Nigeria for that. Were they even here legally? That's another thing I was thinking. When they started saying that stuff about Sh0ts, I was thinking, what if they're here illegally and the cops threaten to deport them unless they say what they want them to say? I was thinking all kinds of stuff because I'm telling you that I really was believing Sh0ts. But then when they showed the check, I said, wait a minute. And then there was some other things that the cops were saying too. But come to find out, the cops actually lied about some things. Okay, that comes out in the documentary too. But anyway, I don't want to get off track. You all just make sure you watch it. And then y'all can apologize to Sh0ts, okay, for calling him liars all these years. Or when somebody else tells a lie, we would say they're pulling a Jussie Smollett's. Yeah, we need to stop that. We need to stop letting these people who don't look like us paint narratives and tell us lies about people who do look like us, and we are the ones who believe them. Yeah, we need to stop that, myself included.
A crime, shooting himself. Well, the police are saying that they can't investigate or charge Caden because his parents are preventing the detectives from questioning him. I'm sorry, what? This has got to be a courtesy they only give to white people. When was the last time you saw the police ask a black or brown parent if they could talk to their kid? So they constantly question black and brown kids without an adult or without even any kind of lawyer present. But Caden, nothing but respect. This kid in Florida lied and said that 4 Hispanics had hurt him and kidnapped him. He knew what he was doing. If this story had even been believed and circulated even for a day, do you know how many Latino men would have been picked up by police, ICE, the entire force going after Latino men? I think he was well aware of this. So he should be arrested for trying to do this. But like we have been seeing more and more often with every passing day, the system continues protecting these white terrorists.
He's not lying. He's absolutely right. Now he has another video giving some more information. Let's go to that. Likes up, everyone, please like and share.
Updates of the 17-year-old white kid who shot himself and tried to blame 4 Hispanics for it, including the fact that he might have used ChatGPT to plan his fake abduction. This is Caden Spite of Citrus Springs, Florida. And on September 25th, he sent a bunch of texts to his family saying that he had been shot and abducted by 4 Hispanic men in a light-colored van. There was an Amber Alert. He was found in a parking lot with a gunshot wound to his leg, a broken femur, and
Hold on, I think that was the same video. Hold on. I thought that, I'm sorry, beloveds, I thought that was a different video, the one where they showed him on crutches, getting out of the car, being dropped off at the police department. Okay, he finally decided to go and talk to the police. Okay, now here's another Hispanic person going in on him, as they should. He could have really gotten somebody hurt.
So the 17-year-old bastard, Caden Spite, out of Florida, that was allegedly reported missing, shot. He texted his mother he was shot, and 4 Hispanics in a white van kidnapped him. Yes. And they found his vehicle abandoned, where allegedly in that area there was a shooting. Someone pointed out that there were 4 Hispanics in a white van working on a house in that area as well. And he made it all up. He was caught on surveillance footage at a Walmart purchasing a bike and a tent. This 17-year-old knew exactly what he was doing. And MAGA ate it all up on X and other social media accounts. They're saying, oh, he had a MAGA hat and 4 Hispanics kidnapped him and, you know, he's been shot. That was so irresponsible and harmful, especially for the Hispanic community, considering, out of all places, Florida, where they've been harassed and tormented all these days. You're going to target the Hispanic community. So, of course, the authorities were looking for 4 Hispanics in a white van. So irresponsible. And I've seen everybody updating their articles and they not mention that it was a host. All they're saying that he is found safe. That is all. That's all the update. And people in the comments like, oh my God, thank God. Oh my God, unbelievable. Where's the accountability from this kid? He's 1 year from being 18 years old. He should know the difference between right and wrong. At the least, he needs to get a whooping from at least his mother. Publicly, at least. This pisses me off. All the things that are happening in the United States evolving around Hispanics and you go and make a host like this for whatever reason, because people are already saying, oh, you don't know what he was actually going through. He possibly was going through some mental health crisis. Stop with the excuses. Accountability. Because
Now, do you all hear that? That's what the white folk were saying online, the MAGA. Talking about he's probably going through some mental stuff at home or whatever. Maybe he's got mental breakdowns or whatever. Like, stop making excuses for your racism and your low down nefarious ways. Just call it what it is. The Iceman inheritance. Period.
this could have harmed a lot more people than you think. And they would have used this story politically if he wasn't found as soon as he was found. They would have turned it around and continue to push the narratives that Hispanics in the United States are the enemy. Fear-mongering. They would have used this opportunity to even go harder in the state of Florida. So this kid needs some accountability. I don't know, a fine, court, something. False report. Something needs to happen to this kid. But yeah, I'm upset. And you still have people defending the kid. Like he did not fabricate the whole thing. We're not talking about, you know, a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old. We're talking about a 17-year-old young man. Should have known better. With that being said, I'm glad I'm going to clear the air for all the people that refuse to know the facts or don't seem to want to know the facts. Here you go. Make sure you like this video, comment, repost, share. And as always, follow me.
All right, so y'all heard that. Like I said, it's no excuse for his nefariousness. I mean, he had everything all mapped out, went and bought a tent and supplies. What was he going to do? Camp out in the woods? And if so, for how long? And if 4 Hispanic men had actually been arrested and charged, was he going to admit that he made it all up? Okay, I just want you all to pay attention because he didn't admit that he made this all up. They found out that he made this all up and confronted him with it. Okay? He was going to stick to that lie. This is all crazy. I don't know what goes on in the minds of sick, twisted people like this. Okay, I just do not get it at all. So anyway, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe. I may be back later, especially if there's some breaking news or whatever. Yeah, I'm going to come back later anyway, because y'all know we got to go in on Trump, and I've got some scoop on him. So yeah, I'll be back later, probably around 6:30 or 7. Anyway, with that all being said, I hope you all enjoy the rest of this day. Enjoy your strong end, not the weekend, leaving you in a weakened state of mind. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, peace.
Hey, yo, Nick, hit him with that flavor. Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show know me. Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me?